How's it going, my squids? So today we're going to be talking about Frost Prime builds. So I've got 3 builds for you guys. We've got the DPS build, the survival build, and we've got the starter build. Now I decided to do 3 different builds because Frost Prime is pretty easy to get, and what I mean by that is you can literally just sign up for Twitch and just get him for free. So I'm pretty sure that's still going on, and if not, well, I mean, you know, this build still works for regular Frost, so it really doesn't matter. To give a little overview of Frost and Frost Prime, basically he's just this solo Warframe that can kind of just do it all. He can't really heal his teammates, but he can provide heavy CC, he's a great tank Warframe, and overall he can just make sure that your team is entirely safe. Like, you rarely ever have any issues when you're playing a Frost or Frost Prime. You pretty much just can kind of coast through the missions with ease. All his CC capabilities make the mission super easy mode. So if you happen to cop a Frost or Frost Prime, then good on you guys, because you're going to have the easiest time in Warframe, you know, with this character. So we're going to start with the survival build, and the way we're going to do this, we're going to go survival, DPS, then starter build. The starter build is just going to be basically for you guys that get Frost, because you can get Frost pretty early in the game. I think the boss is on Mars, and that's like, you know, that's like playing an hour worth of the game, and you can get him and farm Lieutenant Lech Krill easily for Frost. So we're going to do that towards the end a little bit, but we're going to start with the survival build. So the survival build, the basics behind it is basically built for like survivals, defense, mobile defenses, stuff like that, things that you have to survive for a certain amount of time with. Now we've got primed flow, redirection, and vitality. You know, regular flow, prime flow, that all works for you guys. It really doesn't matter. I just have prime flow on there. You want redirection and vitality for the obvious reasons, because it is a survival build. So if you have to last a good while doing something, you want to make sure you don't lose life or, you know, die easily. Especially as a tank Warframe, you want to make sure you're able to live as long as possible. So for Streamline, you want to make sure that you guys have this on there for the sole purpose of efficiency. You're going to be recasting your bubble over and over and over again, and possibly your ult over and over and over again, which is your 4th ability. So basically you want to make sure you don't burn through your energy so quickly. It's faster than you're casting, because if you do, Frost is based all around his abilities. So if you don't have any energy, then you're just boned. So if you're blowing through your energy left and right, you're just going to find yourself in a very, very ugly predicament. The reason you want Intensify on is just a little bit of damage. You don't really need it, especially with this build, but I put it on there just so that way you have a little bit of extra damage in case you're doing, like, you know, a lower level mission. You don't want to, you know, blow through your mods and waste it, because Intensify, what it does is it kind of counteracts Overextend, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But basically, if you didn't have Intensify on with this build, you would do literally no damage with your abilities, which is not necessarily a terrible thing, due to the fact that this build is meant for survival. You're meant to just provide CC, and you're meant to provide just a bubble for your team, so that way they have a safe place to, you know, gather in. So the main idea behind this build is ability range and CC. So Intensify, having that on there, just whenever you cast your 4th ability, you're able to at least do a little bit of damage to make sure that you're able to freeze everybody and possibly kill a few mobs here and there, while, you know, really alleviating some of the pressure from your team. And the last 3 mods here, we've got Stretch, Overextended, and Cunning Drift. I think I said Stretch already in the last one, but I didn't talk about it, and I did that for a reason. So basically, all 3 of these mods are based around ability range. Stretch is obviously just, the obvious thing, 45% ability range. Overextended, 90% ability range, minus 60% ability strength. That's what I was talking about, why Intensify counteracts the Overextended, because Overextended would have made your ability strength way worse than it actually is. But like I said, this is a survival build. This is meant to CC and survive, not to do damage. You leave that to your team. You just provide, crowd controlling for your team. So, and the last one is Cunning Drift, which is a drift mod from like Lua, I think is where you get them. This is also ability range, but it's like plus 12% slide and minus 30% friction, which is just, don't worry about that. That's just garbage. So to recap really quick, this is just a build for, surviving, providing CC, and letting your team do most of the damage while you're protecting them from any heavy mobs or anything that's coming in that's going to do a lot of damage, or just, just giving them a safe haven to make sure they have a regroup point. If they need health, if they need this, they need that, they can always come back to the bubble and regain and recharge up. Also, I didn't talk about the aura mod, which is, something that's not really that important, but I put physique on there just for the extra health. I figured it couldn't hurt. There's probably, you could farm it for like energy siphon if you want to, guarantee some energy, but I didn't think it was really necessary. So if you want to do that, you can, but I think physique is just fine and it works pretty well. Next up, we've got our DPS build, which you're not going to see too many variations here, but this is going to be more based around health and doing a lot of damage, because what you want to do, this is the build I run when I'm doing missions like Exterminate or what is that other one? Oh, boss fights. I don't know why I blanked out there. Or just basically anything where you need to do a lot of killing without actually having to worry about survivability. So pretty much the only variations here are going to be Vigor and Blind Rage. Everything else is pretty much the same thing. The reason Blind Rage is on here is for ability strength, and you want it to be as maxed out as you can possibly get it, because 81 ability strength, that is nutty for your ultimate and your second ability. You're just going to be like just freezing everybody and doing a buttload of damage. The only problem with this is that you lose a lot of efficiency, but it's fine because you've got a Streamline on here to counteract that a little bit and make sure that you don't lose a whole lot of efficiency, so you're able to kind of, you know, work with this a little bit better, and you've got more room to use your abilities more often, because if you didn't have Streamline on here, you would find yourself completely out of energy after like one use of your ult. Now the only other variation on here is Vigor, as I said, and basically this is just I put this on here for the sole purpose of just, you know, the extra shield and health and blah blah blah, because this build is not meant for surviving. It's meant to just do a lot of damage and just get rid of all the enemies in the in just whatever area you're standing in. You want to make sure they're all dead, but at the same time, since this build is not built for survivability, you want to make sure you at least can survive, because if you're dead, you can't do any damage. Now moving on to the starter build, which is for you guys that don't have any primed mods or any vault mods or any drift mods, anything like that. This is just the basic mods that you should have around like mastery rank 3, 4, whatever. So I'm going to talk about the 4 most important mods that you need to have is Flow, Intensify, Streamline, and Vigor. You want these because these are all the mods that make Warframe, your Warframe better. Vigor is kind of universal. You don't really need it, but I have it on here because, again, as a starter build, you want to make sure you're able to live. You want to be able to get through those missions with the, you know, with the least bit of trouble. You don't want to just get plowed every 10 seconds by enemies. You want to make sure you're able to just coast through the missions with a breeze, Jesus. The other mod that you could put in here is Continuity, but I didn't really think it was necessary because it's ability duration, and literally all of Frost's abilities don't involve duration. They're all just damage abilities, or his bubble is basically just every time it takes a shot, it loses health over time, so there's not really a duration for it, so I didn't really see the need to put it on here. Maybe for his 4th ability and how long the freeze time lasts, but I didn't think it was that important, especially over survivability. Hell no, I would rather just be able to live longer than freeze somebody for 2 more seconds. Now you want your basic redirection, vitality for obviously for the survivability. You want stretch, so that way you get a little bit of benefit from your bubble, and Streamline, or not Streamline, my bad, Steel Fiber. You want this so that way you can have that extra bit of armor. Frost comes with a good amount of armor, so being able to put Steel Fiber on here as high as you can get it, you'll have about 600 with mine, which is just 1 off from the last bit, so you will be able to just, you know, take a lot of damage and not worry about it. Overall, the starter build will be pretty good for you guys. It should carry you through the game, no problem, through all the campaign and everything like that. You shouldn't have any issues whatsoever, and fairly all these mods that I have here are pretty easy to get, minus maybe like Streamline and Flow and Intensify, but those mods, again, you should be able to farm them. If you guys need to know where to get them, please leave a comment below and I'll reply to you and let you know where you can get them. Or I'll just make a separate video on that whole topic and let you guys in on how to do that. Anyway, that pretty much covers today's video. Thank you guys again. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.